Deep in a lush green Indonesian jungle, where the sun peeked through the leaves like shy diamonds, lived a tiny but very clever Mousedeer. His name was Cancel. Now, Cancel was famous throughout the entire jungle for his quick wit. He was so proud of his sharp mind, he truly believed that being clever was the most important thing in the world. One hot afternoon, Cancel was strolling by the river, feeling a little bit bored, if we're being honest. He spotted a huge, strong water buffalo named Kerbau, peacefully munching on some fresh, green grass near the water's edge. Everyone in the jungle knew Kerbau. He was known for his incredible strength, but also for his calm and kind heart. Humph, Cancel thought to himself, a mischievous little glint appearing in his eye. Kerbau is so big and strong, but I bet my brain is stronger than all of his muscles combined. I think I'll play a little trick on him, just to prove it. With that thought, Cancel trotted over to the giant buffalo. "Good afternoon, mighty Kerbau," he chirped in his most cheerful voice. Kerbau slowly lifted his massive head, still chewing thoughtfully on a mouthful of grass. "Good afternoon, little Cancel. It is a beautiful day, isn't it?" His deep voice rumbled. "It is," said Cancel, putting on his most worried face. "But I have a problem. A very, very big problem. A huge log has fallen and completely blocked the path to the delicious rambutan fruit trees. I'm just not strong enough to move it." Kerbau nodded sympathetically. "That does sound like a problem. Don't worry, I can help. I will come and push it out of the way for you." But Cancel shook his head dramatically. "Oh no, 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 that won't do at all. You see, this isn't just any log. It's a magic log. It can only be moved by the smartest animal in the jungle, not the strongest. I will prove to you right now that my mind is far more powerful than your strength." Kerbau was a bit puzzled by this, but also a little amused. "Oh, and how will you do that, little one? Watch this." Cancel announced loudly for anyone who might be listening. He ran towards the giant fallen log that lay across the path. He stood before it, puffed out his tiny chest, and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Oh, great log, I command you to move. I, Cancel, the cleverest animal in all the jungle, order you to roll aside." Of course, the log didn't move so much as a single inch. It just sat there, looking very large and very much like a log. Cancel turned back to Kerbau, who was watching patiently. "The log is very stubborn today," Cancel explained, trying his best to look serious. "It needs a bit of ... encouragement. Kerbau, would you do me a favor? Would you please turn around and close your eyes? The magic words are very secret and they only work if no one is watching." Kerbau was a trusting fellow. He let out a soft sigh, turned his large body around, and shut his eyes tightly. As soon as Kerbau wasn't looking, Cancel didn't say any magic words. Of course not. Instead, he whistled a special little tune, a secret signal. Hidden in the nearby bushes was a whole family of monkeys who owed Cancel a favor. At his signal, they all leaped out from their hiding spot. Together, they pushed and shoved the log with all of their might. It was incredibly heavy, and even with all the monkeys helping, they only managed to move it a tiny bit. "All right, you can look now," Cancel shouted, slightly out of breath. Kerbo turned around. The log had indeed moved, but only by a whisker. It was barely noticeable. Cancel was panting, and the monkeys had already scurried back into the trees, disappearing from sight. "You see," Cancel said proudly, puffing his chest out again, "my clever magic worked. It took a lot of mental energy, but I did it." Kerbo looked at the log, then at the tiny distance it had moved. He then looked at the path, which was still very much blocked. Without saying a single word, he walked up to the log. He lowered his strong head, and with one single, powerful push, he sent the giant log rolling off the path and into the bushes with a loud crash. The way to the rambutan trees was now completely clear. Cancel just stood there with his mouth wide open, completely stunned. His clever little trick seemed so silly and small compared to Kerbo's simple, honest strength. He felt his ears turn red with embarrassment. Kerbao turned back to him, but not with a smug look. He had a gentle smile on his face. "Your magic is very clever, Cancel, but sometimes a simple push is all that is needed." Feeling utterly foolish, Cancel scampered away from the path and into a thicker part of the jungle. He was so busy thinking about how his trick had failed, so lost in his own embarrassment, that he wasn't watching where he was going. Suddenly, the ground beneath him gave way. He tumbled down into a deep, muddy pit left by hunters. "Help!" he cried. The walls of the pit were too steep and slippery to climb. He tried to think of a clever trick to get himself out, but for the first time his mind was blank. No ideas came. He was truly stuck, and he was getting scared. He shouted for help again and again until his voice was hoarse and scratchy. Just when he was about to give up all hope, a large, friendly face peered down at him from the edge of the pit. It was Kerbo. "Are you all right down there, little friend?" Kerbo asked, his deep voice full of genuine concern. "Kerbo," Cancel cried, feeling a huge wave of relief wash over him. "I'm stuck. I was careless, and I fell in. Can you help me?" Kerbo didn't tease him or remind him of his silly trick with the log. He simply nodded his big head and said, "Hold on tight." Kerbo carefully knelt down, lowering his huge head and long, strong horns down into the pit. "Climb onto my horns. Cancel, be careful now." Gratefully, Cancel scrambled out of the mud and onto Kerbo's head, holding on tightly. But with slow, steady strength, Kerbo lifted his head, bringing the little Mousedeer safely back to solid ground. Cancel, covered in mud but safe and sound, looked up at the big, kind buffalo. He felt so ashamed of how he had tried to trick him earlier. "Kerbo," Cancel said softly, "thank you. You saved me. I am so sorry I tried to trick you. I thought being clever was the only thing that mattered, but your strength and your kindness, they are far more important." Kerbo smiled his slow, gentle smile. "Being clever is a wonderful gift, Cancel, and being strong is a gift too, but they are best when they are used together to help each other. The jungle is big enough for all kinds of strengths. From that day on, Cancel and Kerbau became the very best of friends. Cancel was still the cleverest animal in the jungle, but he learned a valuable lesson. He learned that true wisdom isn't about proving you read the best tits, about using your gifts to help others, and, most importantly, about being a good friend. This story teaches us that it's great to be smart and clever, but it's even more important to be kind and honest. Tricking others is never a good way to make real friends. Everyone has their own unique talents. Some of us are strong, some are fast, and some are clever. We shouldn't show off, but instead use our special gifts to help one another. True strength is found not in being better than others, but in working together and being a kind, supportive friend. Thank you so much for listening to our story today. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more adventures. We'll see you next time.